of School Directors. This is a live in-person meeting taking place in the public in accordance with the Sunshine Act. By attending and or commenting publicly in this meeting, you're consenting to the recording, retention, and future viewing of this meeting. Carrie, would you please call the roll?
Stephen Yerger.
Here.
Janelle Ressler. Here. Mary Brenneman. Here. Nick Lovell.
Here. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We now recognize members of the public who have signed up to provide comment as stipulated in Policy 903. When your name is called, please approach the podium and state your name, confirm you're a resident or taxpayer in the district, and your topic of discussion for the record. Please direct your comments to the board as a whole, not to an individual. We ask that you limit your comments to 5 minutes or less. The privilege to speak may be interrupted, revoked, or a recess of the meeting may be called by the chair if the speaker does not observe reasonable decorum and orderly conduct. Thank you. Bradley Kiefer.
Appreciate it. So good evening. My name is Bradley Kiefer. I'm a resident and taxpayer in Little Sud area. Appreciate the chance to speak here this evening. Keep my comments focused for this committee on some curriculum and policy. So first, artificial intelligence. Our students are already using AI tools at various levels. Sometimes it helps them learn. Sometimes it crosses into cheating. And right now, the district does not appear to have a clear district-wide policy or academic standard that explains what appropriate AI use looks like by grade level. That leaves students confused, teachers unsupported, and academic integrity inconsistent from classroom to classroom. As a business manager, I can tell you that AI will be a normal tool in the future, and I want my Little Sound graduate future employees to understand how to effectively use it, how to responsibly execute it, how to verify it, and how to disclose it properly. And when students are not taught how to maintain that responsibly, then it creates issues for us as future employers. So I'm asking this committee to prioritize an AI policy and curriculum framework that does 3 things. Define permitted and prohibited use by grade band, teach AI literacy as part of instruction, and require students to be transparent about when they use AI. Second topic that will be covered in this meeting today is the student health needs as they relate to the policy that you're all proposing. So we have students with diabetes, but we also have students with other serious medical concerns. Field trips and school activities should be accessible to them in a safe and predictable way. Today, when nursing coverages are not available, parents are forced to take off of work or forced to have their child left behind. I lived that situation personally, and it feels weird telling my son that he can't go on a field trip because the school can't afford to hire a nurse at a rate that is competitive. So I'm asking this committee to review and tighten the district's field trip and health support policies, which seems to be absent right now in the plan that you're going to talk about, so that families know what the plan is when a nurse cannot attend. There should be defined backup process and trained coverage communicated early enough so it's not the few days before the field trip, so I'm called to provide that coverage because, again, the nurse called out or we don't have one. So there needs to be a process for that as it relates to the serious medical conditions. And I'll add it plainly, if the root issue is staffing shortages, we could solve a lot of this by actually paying nurses and health support staff fairly and competitively, so that way they want to work within the school district. Safety and inclusion for children that have medical conditions should not lead them to be penalized in field trips. The third concern is not related to tonight's committee, but something that I wanted to follow up on a previous board meeting, which was the concern about a threat that was made at the elementary school that the board had no awareness of. I understand this is not part of tonight's agenda, and I'm not asking for private details. In fact, I don't really care about the private details. What I do care about is the clarity on process and status. What's the district standard for following up when threats occur, how families are informed in responsible ways, and what supports are in place for the students afterward, even if they're not directly involved, but kids talk, right? So even if this committee is not the final home for this discussion, I'm asking that the board provide a clear update based off of a previous meeting, so that way we can have a clear understanding as parents in the community of what the process is, because clear process builds trust, which seems to be lacking at times at multiple levels within this district. Thank you for your time. I'm happy to support the work however I can if you have follow-ups.
Thank you. Suzanne Johnson.
My name is Suzanne Johnson, and as a district parent and taxpayer, I've repeatedly shared my concerns about student proficiency scores. Our PSSA scores have been declining for over a decade, leading to our district having the lowest scores in the county for 2024. And our middle school scores were so low, the state required targeted support and improvement plans for both the special education and general education students. I've taken a look at the 2025 versus 2024 PSSA data, and I would like to congratulate the middle school teachers and students on their efforts to improve their ELA and math PSSA scores. There were improvements in all but the 7th grade math proficiency scores. However, there's more work to be done when less than half of our middle school students are proficient in ELA, and only 20 to 30% of them are proficient in math. I would also like to congratulate the elementary school teachers and students on their efforts to improve their ELA and PSSA scores. There were improvements in all but the 5th grade ELA proficiency scores. Again, there's more work to be done when less than 40% of our 5th grade students are proficient in ELA, and only about 30% of them are proficient in math. As I've said before, I've been frustrated with the slow implementation of the science of reading methods. Since I moved to this district 4 or 5 years ago, I've been advocating for implementing these evidence-based literacy instruction methods with fidelity. My understanding is that all kindergarten through 2nd grade teachers have finally received letters training. That's just the tip of the iceberg though, a brief introduction. They need a lot more. Of course, kids that were in kindergarten when this whole process started are now in 4th grade and taking their PSSAs without the benefit of that essential science of reading base. To quote Dr. Steve Dykstra, a renowned expert in literacy and child development, the school that's on a slow road to better instruction is sacrificing another year of children. Please stop telling us just to give us more time. Switching gears, before the board set their 2025 meeting schedule, I urged you to avoid scheduling meetings for the 2nd and 4th Tuesday of the month so that people don't have to choose between attending a school board meeting and a Littlestown Council meetings like tonight, when this meeting is conflicting with a critical Borough Council meeting to discuss community feedback on the 2026 budget, both of high concern to me. I have to choose one, that's not right. So I'm going to renew my request as you draft your 2026 school board meeting schedule. Please avoid scheduling any school board meetings for the 2nd and 4th Tuesday of the month. For example, if like you did this year, the December committee meeting needs to be the last week of November in 2026, then don't schedule it on Tuesday, November 24th when the council's meeting. Maybe put it on Monday, the 23rd, you know, and there's other days in the week. Finally, I want to express my appreciation to all the teachers meeting with families this week. I had great conversations with my child's teacher at the high school, teachers at the high school, and I appreciate all they're doing to work with my student in order to ensure her success. Heading into Thanksgiving, these wonderful teachers and building administration and staff are certainly on my gratitude list. And just to put a plug in for the LHS teachers, if you donate to Minithon this by, I think, December 4th, you know, we get to dye their hair. So, you know, putting a plug in for that because that sounds really exciting. Anyway, so they're good sports too, so I want to appreciate them for those teachers that have agreed to that. Anyway, have a good Thanksgiving. Thank you.
All right, Dr. Berryman.
So Mr. Moran is joining us this evening. We would like to present to this committee with the STEELS implementation for science, the new standards. We really do need to look at a curricular resource. So they've been doing some vetting. So Mr. Moran, and then we also have a video from Mr. Powell, who you've met, that's been doing some work with all the building levels, really, with the STEELS implementation. So they're going to present some information, some research that they have done in order for us to start a pilot in the spring here, or right after the holiday break, Christmas break, so that we can start start really taking a look at this resource to see if it's going to meet our needs. Mr. Moran?
So you give a handout to everybody?
Yep.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. So a little bit of the references to handout as we speak in the video. So just to pick up there where Dr. Berryman. So at the elementary level, we're trying to focus on our science in relation to the new requirements that SEALS has presented for us. And we have, as Dr. Berryman said, we've got a group of teachers, administrators, along with Mr. Powell, who's working K-8 with their staff at the elementary and middle school. We have went through several things, and we've been exploring a lot of different options and trying to really see what's out there from our past practice to our current practice, and the final piece today will be about our future practice as well. So I know Ms. Farmer's got a video that Mr. Powell, who I've been working closely with the elementary level, he's going to talk a little bit about what we would refer to our early stages. There's about a 2.5 minute video I'd like for us to watch. He unfortunately could not be here. He's in a medical situation, so it prevents him from being able. He's okay, everything's good, but we recorded the video ahead of time because he was not going to be able to physically be here tonight.
And it's going to play out this, so, and only on that screen, so we're clear.
Hi everyone, this is Brett Powell, physics teacher at the high school. I've also been working with elementary science. So, the state of Pennsylvania has implemented new STEEL standards for science, and these new standards do represent a pretty significant shift in what our standards previously used to look like for science. So that, by definition, requires us to shift our instruction and our curriculum at the elementary level for science. There's a new PSSA in 5th grade for science based on these STEEL standards. So what we did last year was a team of teachers in grades 3 through 5, along with administration and myself, began looking at what we currently have for science and seeing if it can be continue to be used, if it could be adapted, or if it needed to be kind of rewritten entirely to meet these new STEEL standards. That process was really difficult and time-consuming, and we came to the realization after trying to do it on our own, basically, that there is already curriculum out there that meets these new standards. So rather than trying to come up with something, we should utilize something that the experts have created. So we looked into and vetted a bunch of different curriculum and resources. So some of the comprehensive curriculum options that we vetted were Mystery Science, Open SciEd, Twig Science, and the Science Penguin. And then some curricular resources that we vetted were Lego Science and Science A to Z. So that's just some of the options that we looked into, the ones that were at least made it beyond the initial glance, but there were many, many others as well. So that was really the early stages of our process in implementing these new STEEL standards.
Okay, perfect. So to pick up there where Mr. Powell's talking, so we have been exploring a lot of different options to see what is out there, what are other school districts doing, because the timeline of the transition to STEELs is here upon us. So we've been busy last year and continuing that work over the summer into this year. And when you look at, and if you look at my handout, I sort of break there with 2024-25, really a research phase, and now we're really looking specifically digging into the curriculum and the resources. If you look to the right there, you can see the first three that has K-5 mentioned there. So they are K-5 curriculums, and so Mystery Science, Open Science Ed, Twig Science. Their Twig Science is also K-8, so it could extend into the middle school if we choose to go on that path. The middle column there, the Science Penguin, really only targets grades 3 through 5. And then the far right column, really the RES, that's just short for resources. So they're not full-fledged curriculums. They're resources that would be available to support the standards and to support some of the content that we would be required to do. And that's the Lego Science and the Science A to Z. Really what we're after here is, as we have explored this and really went back and forth as a team, as a ready to move forward to explore a little deeper into one of those areas because we're seeing some positive feedbacks. The goal here tonight is really, as Dr. Berryman said earlier, is we're here to ask you guys to give us an opportunity to look further into our mystery science curriculum that's centered around K-5 and the LEGO science resource that would be available to help support some of our lab exploration activities as well. Why we're choosing to venture down that path first is we do believe from our research what we see is that it is aligned to what the STEEL's expectation is as we move it forward. One thing that was super important to me is that we needed a comprehensive K-5. So we needed to have that consistency that'll go across the grade bands for our students and for our teachers. Obviously, cost always plays a role in any decision that we make, and Mystery Science is willing to grant our teachers access to that full curriculum at no cost to the district. Again, our research indicates that this is cost effective because again, one of the challenges as we look through any resource or any program is it sustainable financially for us? And we have a responsibility to do that. One of the other reasons there, when you look to the far right, we really feel like our early exploration with the mystery science is very organized, it's well put together. They do create these, what they call supply kits that are sort of structured by different units and lessons. And again, a little bit of what that support that goes into the lab component, the hands-on piece, that's already set up and designed in the curriculum. Sort of what I call one-stop shop, where it allows us to very efficiently and effectively work through that. There's a good reputation. We know that there are other schools within our area that are using those. Using the mystery science, and our early exploration with it is it does appear to be user-friendly both to our teachers and to our students as we have begun that process of looking at that. One of the nice things that comes with that is as we continue to look at it, our goal is to really solidify our future with our science. I know most of the focus at the elementary level has been math and science, or excuse me, math and ELA as a consistent. That's not unusual for any school district, but it's time for us now to be able to put science in that same level of focus and attention, and this will give us a great opportunity to create a solid foundation in our skills. Some of our next steps that we're trying to proceed and go to is we want to continue to work with Mr. L., Mr. Lockwood, our STEM teacher. That's a little bit of a connection into some of the mystery science, but also with that LEGO resource, where he's going to be picking up some of the standards and information connected again to what we have to teach, and create the right balance between what is he sharing and presenting with our students versus what our core teachers are doing. So again, that goes to that instructional planning piece that we continue to want to do. The LEGO resource we see as a great possibility as we head into the second half of our school year. We haven't had an opportunity to explore too deep into that yet, but we believe, based on our research, that will be something that will be super beneficial to us. And then again, our goal here is to really focus on our 4-5 students here this year. As that was communicated earlier, that PSSA does transition to 5th grade. So focus on our 4th, 5th grade with the consistency of science instruction. And then we're working to share any knowledge, information, or resources we have with our 3rd grade teachers to keep them in that same conversation. Right now, from a time standpoint, our 3rd grade students are not getting as much science instruction as our 4th and 5th grade, but we're in the process of working through that and building a better schedule that will allow them to get access to that information too. And then the backwards by design piece really is, as we focus on our 3, 4, 5 grade level students, it's now then pushing it back to grade 2, and back to grade 1, and back to the kindergarten students, rather than doing the opposite, start with kindergarten and work our way up. We really want to start to go backwards and make sure we're getting into our 2nd grade students in our 1st grade and in our kindergarten students over the next couple of years. We are spending a lot of time in monthly meetings, weekly meetings, discussing that as a team. We feel the feedback that we're receiving about the mystery science. It's flexible. We're hoping to pick a few units to explore, to pilot, and to try to enhance as we go through the second half of the year, to really hone into what mystery science can provide us. Our early indicators are that it's very interactive for our students. Our students are responding very positive to the information that they've seen at this point, as well as our staff. So again, we want to be able to now move forward and continue to build on some of that positive energy that we have. Really important to us is the budget piece. I know that continues to be something we discuss in our district, but we hope that at the highest regards, we want our budget and our curriculum, it sort of has to have fidelity to it. Whatever we're choosing to do, sustainable and affordable for our budget. And again, it's got to meet the needs of our students and our staff. And we believe for preliminary science, this has given us a great opportunity to implement into skills as we are sort of forced into this change into our curriculum. So we see this as an early sign of success as we continue to build and explore, a lot of different options for that. So tonight we're really asking for permission and the opportunity to dig a little deeper and to pilot into this curriculum, this resource, and see if it is going to meet what we're hoping that it will meet. Open for questions and clarifications that we'd like to make.
I'm just looking at some of the stuff on the website right now. Are you looking at the writing piece as well?
So that is a piece that's there, and that is something as we work with our ELA curriculum, you might see an opportunity to bridge that gap, to connect those two together, because again, that is part of that cross academic piece. We're not there yet in that discussion, but that is something that jumped out to me as well when I was exploring. So yes, that is something of interest. See how that compares to what we're doing from our ELA committee.
Is that something that you would need, like, can we purchase that at a later time? Do we have to purchase the whole curriculum at the same time?
No,
Is
it could be
available later?
That could be a different
Okay.
purchase, right?
Okay.
And we're not asking for purchase just yet, really just to pilot it to
Right.
see. I think what we're finding is when Mr. Powell's been working with the elementary school in developing their curriculum with the new standards and doing the proficiency scales, is that this mystery science really lines up with their units and their lessons.
It looks like was it written or created from Pennsylvania?
I know it's Pennsylvania based. There's several schools
Yeah,
within,
okay.
For example, the West York School District, Trimmer Elementary is one of our fifth grade teacher, Ms. Coombs. That's her former employer. Before, they were vetting two resources or two curriculums previously, with mystery science being one of them. So I've had an opportunity to be in some conversations with her about some of their experiences, and they have vetted it, and again, some very positive feedback that we've received. So
when would the pilot start?
Well, I guess I have a question about that. Can that come out of this committee, or does it need to be voted on by the full board to do the pilot? So if it had to be voted on by the full board, we would ask for that to be voted on the 8th, and then they can start it either right before or right after Christmas break. One of
again,
I think it's one of
that's being looked at. So yeah, what we're looking to do is with most pilots, they're traditionally like a 6-week to a 9-week window of time that you're really digging into and teaching from that pilot. So the hope would be, begin those early conversations here in December, but really pushing it into the second half of the year as we head into January, into February, creating that window. And obviously what we would be electing to focus on is areas that would help prepare kids heading into that spring PSSA assessments. us access to all of the resources, except the writing, we don't have access to that,
Right.
but we have gotten access to their units, their lessons, the curriculum,
Okay.
as it would be if we were purchasing. So that was again one of the attractive pieces to them.
Yeah.
It wasn't that we could only have access to a small segment of the curriculum, they were giving us access to everything. Not just us, but it would be anybody that would be supporting that as the project.
Yeah, the 2022 updated version of Policy 109 delegates authority to the CCP Committee. So we'll confirm that later. If it needs to go to the full board, we'll put it on the agenda for December if the committee wishes to. So your approval tonight may be final approval. If not, we'll put it on the agenda for the 8th.
I just really emphasize that what we're asking is to dig deeper into this curriculum, to get a better understanding of what it can possibly provide for our staff and our students. And then we will be coming back to the board at a later point in time with the results of that feedback and that pilot to say it's something we weren't interested in because of A, B, and C, and that we're transitioning, whatever that transition looks like, or be the opposite, which is it seems to be meeting our needs, we're not seeing anything else that can meet our needs, and now we're asking to move forward in the next step. So either way, there would be some kind of follow-up feedback that comes back to the board about our progress and what we're doing.
Because then we would have to, if you guys decide that you like this and want to purchase, then we'll have to agree to purchase it.
Right, that would go
Yeah, and then it would go into the budget.
Good evening, ACES families and staff. As we bring our school conferences to a close, we want to thank you for taking the time to connect with us and support your child's learning. We hope everyone has a wonderful and happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy the break, enjoy your families, and have a great evening.
We don't get to leave yet, though. So,
Okay.
sorry, does anybody have any more questions, Mr. Moran or Dr. Merriman? Is the committee in favor of moving this forward and approving the pilot? Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I will just give you a preview. I think I have told this committee that we're working on our ELA committee and resource for this year as well. So Mr. Moran will probably be joining us again in January to start the pilot. We'll go through some of the same process that they've been doing for science and the resource that we'd like to pilot coming up for our ELA. So we'll be joining us again soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next two things on the agenda, or B, are the electives for the middle school. These were the only changes to the course curriculum selection for the middle school. And you will see that two of them are science or STEM related, Make Block, MBOT, Ultimate. Going into mechanical structures, electronic modules, programming, things of that nature. Mrs. Whittle is looking to expand the writing center work that she is doing by offering a writing center and tutoring for students who are struggling with their writing. And then also in the science realm would be environmental science, and this still plays still to the STEELS standards that we're implementing. We're finding that there is some standards that, especially around the technology, engineering, and environmental literacy, that